We talking sprint culture, we talking track and field. When the gunshot lick it, give a man the chills. We talking speed demons like Usain. The red track where a legend really makes their name. The US and Jamaica, they run the sprinting game. There's nothing like the Olympics for your claim to fame. When you break the world record, you show you ain't the same. From the men to the women, times are insane. Yeah, we talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture.
Yes. Big up, everybody. You saying, yo? Welcome to Sprint Culture Live. I'm your host, Anson Henry. You know, last week I was having some audio issues, and nobody said anything to me. I want you guys to realize that you're a part of this production too. Okay? If something isn't up to standard, please feel free to let me know, so that the final product is the best it could possibly be. Got an interesting show tonight, man. Yo, man, I got to thinking about shoes. Let me catch up with y'all in the chat. You remember, for those who aren't subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Or sit around, wait a little while to see if you want to go ahead and do that. The likes are always appreciated. And yeah, we're gonna have a good time tonight. This episode is brought to you by teacups. That's a good cup. Also, for those of you who are looking for some running gear, some running apparel, some super shows, head on over to heartbreak.run. Enter the discount code SprintCulture, and you can get your super shoes with a 10% discount. All right. I'm trying to help you. 10% off some super shoes, yo. Could result in some extra prize money. It could result in some clout. It could result in some views. I don't know what it could result in. Anything's possible with these super shoes. So head on over to heartbreak.run. Ryan Banta, I see you got a lot of comments in here, man. Hold on a second. I could have swore you said you got a book. You got a book? Ryan Banta said to check out his book called The Sprinter's Compendium. That sounds serious, yo. I don't know what compendium means, but it sounds serious, Doc. Big you up for that. Did my gunshot just go off? I bet you that can't be slipping on my gunshots, yo. I don't know what happened to the button there. Jerome Blake, I see you in the chat. Yo, Regin. Yo, my last show, there's about 10 people that were like, yo, let me get on, dog. And them mans are just, I don't know what they were doing. These sprinters they're very unprofessional sometimes. They've got this attitude that the world revolves around them. You try to help them out a little bit, or you make an agreement, and all of a sudden, these cats aren't reliable. It's a different story for a different day. Look, man, I got a few things I want to get into before I have my guest. I got a very interesting guest. As you can see from the thumbnail on YouTube, we're talking about how track and field should be taking over the shoe game. Yeah, Jerome, maybe we can talk in a little while. I got to get through some stuff and I got to get to my guest, and then stick around though. This stuff is actually pretty interesting. The show that I had last week, I ended up not posting the entire episode because it was not only was it long, but there were some things that were said that I didn't necessarily want to be there anymore. At some point, I'm gonna have memberships for my channel, and certain lives that aren't just going to be out there will be available to the members. I'll get into that in more detail later. Um, but during the episode, I had mentioned that all the talk about track and field not being able to make a real mark in the shoe world is because no one wears cleats. And I said cleats aren't the only thing that can represent track and field athletes. Just regular trainers or regular runners can represent for track and field, and that's what everyone's doing. That's where all the style is, and that's what the direction is supposed to go. Noah Lyles was on Nightcap this past week with Ocho Cinco and Shannon Sharp, and Shannon is actually who I heard it from when he was saying it can only be done with cleats. That's what I had responded to. So when he had said the same thing to Noah, he responded the exact same way. I don't know if you think Noah watches the show. I think he watches the show. I don't necessarily think he copied it, but I'm saying I think that I do know that he watches the show because of some things that I've heard. But not only that, we're on the same page as far as a lot of things. And he said the exact same thing. He's like, "Yo, why are cleats representing sprinters? We wear tennis shoes most of the time." He said tennis shoes. We should actually watch that. You know what? Let's watch that before my guest gets in here. We can kind of go through the clip. Because Noah, I must say, he was taking a lot of heat leading into this interview. A lot of heat. I feel like every other post I saw was someone trying to roast him for some of the shit he was saying about, you know, the world champion remark, the whole COVID situation, the Anthony Edwards situation, all kinds of shit was going on. He came on, was very composed, answered all the questions properly, had a nice temperament, addressed every single thing. Shannon challenged him with some things that, that he was saying a lot when Noah wasn't there. But he addressed all those things directly, and Noah didn't back away and didn't really get rattled. He actually handled the interview like he handles competition. Obviously, a lot of us are on Noah a lot for a bunch of different things, but we can't deny his performance. Sorry, that had nothing to do with the tea cup that I mentioned in the sponsorship. That was my fault. But yeah, Noah actually handled the interview like he does his competitions. It doesn't matter what kind of heat he's dealing with. He's going to go and he's going to run well, And his interview was solid, Let me see if I can pull this up for y'all. That'll be 27:30. Hold on 1 second, people. Okay. I don't know if you can hear that. I like a lot of the attention that I like all the attention that Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, and also Marcellus Wiley. These guys are really into track and field. Marcellus Wiley, I just found out about today. This clip he was talking about why his opinion on why football players wouldn't necessarily benefit off of training in track and field. It was an interesting perspective. I always thought, and I still do believe that if you do train in track and field, it helps everything. But the way Marcellus broke it down, I kind of thought about it as it may not contribute as much as I thought it would. But I think for different people, it would be different things. That aside, these guys are giving a lot of attention to track and field and discussing it in ways that are real, ways that are relatable, ways that are true to the culture. And, they're bringing a lot of people in as far as eyes because they're showing genuine interest and they have genuine enthusiasm. So anyways, let me open up this clip with Noah so you can hear what he had said, just in case you guys have missed it. Boom. 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 Okay, here it is. He didn't have the record in the 100 and the 200. It was the 200 and 400. That's okay. Yo, like I said in one of my videos, a lot of these guys aren't gonna have all this stuff bang on, but we know we can just make a quick correction and move on from there. But yeah, we all know what it is. Okay, check this out. Did you guys know that Bolt had a shoe? Did you guys even know that Michael Johnson had a shoe? I'm in the track field world. I didn't even know that. I have no idea what kind of marketing went into that. Michael Johnson's shoe came out in 2016, I think. So that's about 20 years after he won his gold medal. After he won his gold medal in '96, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even think that a Michael Johnson shoe would come out. So the thought wasn't there, which was odd enough. And also, there was no promotion for that. I had no idea. And Bolt's shoe, I thought that was just Bolt's spike that he wore. I didn't know he had an actual shoe that he was selling, like was a Usain Bolt. I don't think that this is. They're not approaching it the same way that other shoes approach how they market or brand shoes. There should be versions of the Bolt shoe, versions of the Michael Johnson shoe, which should have happened a long time ago. But these different athletes that are staples in our history, um, attaching a shoe to them makes total sense. But it doesn't necessarily just have to be one person, but there's names that stand out. There's figures that can draw eyes. There's figures that people want to attach themselves to or that people want to feel like. So those two guys are great candidates, but I just don't understand the what sense there is behind a Michael Johnson shoe 20 years after his gold medal in '96, even though he won again in the 400 and '99, but in 2000 Olympics as well. But it's just late. That's what I'm saying. It's late. And also, Usain Bolt, with as big of a star that he is, how is it that people don't know about the shoe? Let me look at the chat. Did y'all know about the shoe? I'm missing the chat right now. Did y'all know about the shoe for Bolt? I don't know if it was a training shoe or I don't know if it was a spike. All I know is that I didn't know. Bolt's shoe wasn't selling. They never made a second version. I'm saying, I mean, how would they make another version? They didn't even market it. How's a shoe gonna sell that no one knows about? No, I don't know, man. Okay, let's get back to this video real quick. See how Noah responded. This is a good point. Um, maybe, and I'd love to talk to Michael Johnson about this. I want to know what the plan and strategy was behind for one, when they did it, and for two, how they were going to get it to the masses, because it wasn't a social media era, so it wouldn't have been put on Michael Johnson. Maybe they didn't feel like they wanted to invest that much because back then it wasn't that easy to get as many eyes on you unless it was at a big event. So that might have had something to do with it, but it's a much different time, much different person as well. Michael Johnson seems a little bit more reserved, a little more private. I don't know if he would have been or had the attitude to be able to push and promote constantly with enthusiasm um, his shoes. But that would be an interesting conversation to have with him in that matter, though. I think Noah's making it very clear that he's he's ready to take on the workload when it comes to the promotion and the marketing. He wants to have a part in it. He's he doesn't necessarily want to sit and wait for it to be done for him. What he's kind of implying is that neither of these guys, um, not necessarily, he wouldn't know if they wanted to do the work, but neither of these guys did do the work, uh, apparently, to be able to push and promote the shoe. Whether or not they wanted to do the work or if the work just wasn't there and the plan just wasn't good enough, that would be something that, um, hold on a second. You can only hear me. Y'all ain't hearing the video? Oh my gosh. That really pisses me off. Okay. I should have been looking at the chat before. That's really annoying, guys. It's definitely annoying. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna say what he had said. We could pretty much go from there. Because if you guys can't see the video, then actually no. I'm gonna actually play it and respond to it. Because in my edit I'll actually utilize it. Okay. So let me just get to this last part that I want to mention. Here we go. Marketing in the US is very different. He made that very clear. Bullets in Jamaica, it's different, smaller market, and the engine behind pushing some of these products, it's not the same. Okay. So a person's identity is more marketable than the brand itself sometimes. Huge point. In this social media era, when people are building their followings and building their personas, they become more at the forefront of people's minds because people are seeing them all the time, and it's not necessarily in brand campaigns. It's not necessarily in commercials. It's not on TV or anything of that nature. It's usually on social media, and people now control that themselves. So people are building really, really, really big names um, on their own without the shoe company. Sometimes their name can. Yeah, I understand that. Everyone in the chat, they keep saying, "You guys, you came in a little bit late." Yeah, the video wasn't playing any sound, but I'm just responding to it because of what I'm going to do with the edit and basically to address some points. Um, so yeah, as far as building your personal brand without, I mean, your personal brand being bigger than the actual brand. It's prevalent in a lot of these situations because while some of these brands are known and are staples, they're not necessarily at the forefront of people's minds. That's what the characters are for. So that's why the characters are so important. The last part I won't go into because I don't want to see any more points in my chat about the fact you can't hear the video. But it's the cleats thing. I don't know why this entire time for years people have been talking about cleats being associated with track and field people, and that's why I won't sell, because people don't want to buy cleats or track and field spikes or throwing spikes or jumping spikes. Why they're not attached with running shoes or casual shoes was always crazy to me, man. It made absolutely no sense because, or it would make the most sense for people within that world, the running world, to be associated with running shoes, not on the track. The trainers, the runners. If you look at, man, do you know how many people would buy a Sha'Carri shoe off the jump, man? What would you call a Sha'Carri shoe? I don't know. And you know what? Before I even get into any of that stuff, I want my guests to give me a thumbs up to let me know if he's ready or not, because I can bring him in, because he'd be perfect to talk about this aspect of this. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Vader Games, aka Vader. We got to go through the AKAs.
Yeah, we got a lot.
Vader is aka A-Dub, aka Adrian.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I won't do your government unless you give me permission to do your government. Right now. I've asked permission.
Yeah, we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that one.
Okay, cool. So
get the likes up.
Yeah. So anyways, for those who are wondering who this guest is, Adrian is actually a former sprinter, hurdler himself, Olympian from Canada. For a while, he was the head track and field Nike rep in Canada. So he was the guy responsible for all the contracts. He was responsible for understanding the market and what's enticing to people and what characters within the sport are going to be able to engage and draw people in. And he was assigning his roster, which a lot of the shoe people are doing now, assigning his roster according to how they would fit into the market, how they shift the market. So you see how all we hear about is shoe contracts, right?
Yeah.
And what people are making up shoe contracts. This guy made the contracts. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I leave anything out? You can let me know. Oh, I can also say.
Yeah.
There's something I do want to say. Yo, Vader actually got me into streaming. Back in the day, we used to run a lot of FIFA, right? And he started streaming his FIFA on Twitch, and I didn't really understand the whole streaming stuff. It was it's giving me a little lag. I don't want to stream. I was like, nah, but this guy was steadily doing it, even when he may have 2 or 3 people watching, but he's talking like there's 100.
Yeah.
And
I had to talk my track.
After a while, I was like, let me try this. And that's basically how I got into streaming, So I have to big up Vader for that.
Yo, bless.
Yeah. And also, I want to say appreciation for, all the whoopings you've allowed me to get on you in FIFA.
Wow. Okay, we're starting like that. Okay.
It's done a lot for my confidence.
This guy is so mad. This guy's disrespectful. Listen. No, I know it's your show.
We got to move on with the show. We got to move on with the show.
We got to move on with the show.
So we were talking about the characters. I was getting into the characters in track and field, and people that can shift the market. Now, even though you're not in the same position anymore, you obviously understand the sport very, very well, and you understand the game, and you still probably view it like you still have the position, I would assume.
Yeah.
So what do you see as far as people in the sport that you, as a shoe company, would want to have right now? Who are the people that you're like, nah, we have to get them?
Okay. I mean,
or keep
listen.
them, or keep
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. Of course. I mean, the intro, fantastic. Obviously, I didn't write the contracts from scratch. I don't speak legalese, but in terms of what needed to be in the body of the contract, that was me. All right. And obviously, of course, Nike's team is substantial. There's people that do that. But when you look at who do you want to be on the roster, and nothing really changes, like the psychology of sport, the psychology of consumerism, we're not reinventing the wheel. People associate themselves with winners. Period. They associate
Winners.
themselves with winners. Period. Yes, you can have a hype. Yes, you can have a vibe, but at the end of the day, we all buy things of quality because it's associating with the best in the business or the best in the field or the best in the sport. It's no different. Now in track and field, I always took there's more that we can do. And again, like when you have that conversation, you talk to the higher ups, you talk to those that make the decision. There's a certain template. But I always thought that there was more that we could do in running, in sprinting, in track and field. And maybe because, again, selfishly, I'm a track and field guy, so that's where I'm coming from. But when you associate yourselves with the best and you look at the Olympics that just took place, and just hey, after this show, just go online, go to Paris Olympics 2024, type in highlights. There's a video that the Olympics themselves put together showcasing the highlights. If you see anyone representing your particular sport, track and field, that's who you want. You want the people, one, that obviously the brand themselves, the Olympic brand, want. You want those people. Then you also want, now if you're a apparel footwear company, you want those that won gold for the brand or products that you sell. And I'll just speak on this because I know you have a large part of American viewership. You close your eyes, you think of the memorable moments. You're seeing Sydney easily, and she's been promoted going
Absolutely.
all the way into the games. Like if there's an athlete that has the mad promotion, the high expectations, and then delivers on it, you want that athlete. And I'm also reset and bring this back as you did the intro. The giant in footwear and apparel is Nike. That's no question. Like
Not even
there's
close.
no,
It's not even close.
it's not even close. The giant in the business, the Goliath is Nike. Everybody else is chasing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. There's nothing wrong with that. You read your Art of War. Okay. If you're not the biggest, maybe you need to be the swiftest. But there's certain advantages that other brands like the Adidas, like the New Balance, right? Like the Pumas can have versus a giant like Nike. But when Nike's looking at the Olympics, and I'm not going to spill any secrets. This isn't anything that's like behind closed doors. Adrian, you signed an NDA. You shouldn't be saying any of this. I'm far removed, so I'm saying all that. And these aren't any secrets because I'm not closely tied to it anymore. But any business, any company, you do, for simplicity's sake, you do a SWOT. You do strengths, you do weaknesses, you do opportunities, you do threats. And then you also, every year, fiscal year, whatever it happens to be, you have a report card. You're like, hey, what do we do well? You're doing your thing on YouTube right now. You got the analytics. You'll see, okay, where am I hitting? Where am I missing? What can I fix? The same thing happens in the business. Now, the Olympic report card, Blaze, Anson, the Olympic report card, no lie, Nike have to be looking at their report card and being like, this can't happen again. They're looking at this report card, whatever the grades are. I'm not going to be the one to say you got A's, B's, C's. I'm not saying all that. However, they want to look at the report card, they're like, this cannot happen again. Because the Olympics are taking place where? I just saw a mad promotion with Snoop Dogg and Dre and doing all kinds of things on the beach. In the US market, in the US landscape, on home soil, they can't have the man that arguably, hey, I'm gonna say it, you win the Olympics, you're the fastest man in the world. You beat it under the bright lights, mad pressure. I know. We'll save that convo for another time. But you win at the Olympics, you're that guy. Nike's like, we can't have arguably the fastest man not be under the Nike brand.
Noah's the guy right now, and right now
Noah
he's
was the guy, he's not wearing Nikes.
No, that's big.
And this hey, shout out to you on the Sprint documentary. But that Sprint documentary that's been buzzing. When I have aunts far removed from the sport, and they're like, Adrian, did you see that thing on Netflix with the Sprint? And I saw your friend answer. I'm like, yeah, well, I saw it. So when family members are seeing it like that, you know it's circulating. Noah was arguably, co-star, him and Sha'Carri. They were the co-stars to that whole thing. Sha'Carri, cool, you got her, Nike athlete. Noah, I would argue, stole the show because a lot of things that went viral, a lot of things that got traction. Adidas. The report card, the company is vexed. I can tell you this for a fact. Whenever a major happened, and let me do this. When majors are going down, the assignment is, what are they wearing? What brand are they wearing? Federation, whatever country, what footwear are they competing in? That's what you're looking at. So when we see on TV, they're doing the medal counts, right? USA, so-and-so gold, so-and-so bronze, so-and-so silvers, right? They're doing that whole breakdown. The footwear companies are, okay, that gold, were they wearing our apparel? Were they wearing our shoes? That's the report card going down. You can't have another majors and it's going to be Noah Lyles, Adidas, Cindy, New Balance. It can't be the queen of the 100 sprint, the fastest woman in the world. Again, she's not wearing Nikes.
That's a big one.
It's not really cool. And the 200 meter now you go to the 200 meter, it's the same thing. So from a report card standpoint, the companies want the winners. People buy associated to the winners. It's no different. And again, I know you want to steer the conversation, you'll bring up other questions, but I'll say this real simple for everybody to kind of understand. The consumer life cycle, you can think about it when you was a kid. When you was a kid, you didn't have much decision to do. Your parents bought you what they bought. But when you had a chance to kind of influence your parents and say, I would want this, what were kids asking for? Kids were asking for whoever the winner was at that time. I want my, hey, when Barkley was doing this thing, I know, hey, I'm showing my age. You can see the platinums. Showing my age. When Barkley was that guy, there's a reason why a lot of kids wanted it. But Barkley was quick to tell you, I'm no role model. But he was doing his thing on the court. He never won an NBA championship. Okay, I understand that. But when he was winning in terms of how he was as a player, every kid wanted it. And every kid wants Jordans because of what? He's a winner. When you're going from a kid wanting it yourself, you're asking the parents, you're influencing them. Then you start working yourself. What are you buying? You're buying what you weren't able to get when you were as a kid. And you're buying winners at the same time. And so when you then become an adult yourself, you're making decisions on, well, I want to wear the best of what's out there. Maybe you're not so much influenced by the personality of who's wearing it, but you want to wear what's quality. What's the best in whatever field it is. And in running, this is where I really agree with what Noah's doing. Noah's like, there's no money in spikes. He's right. There's no money in spikes because as much as we trained, unless it was like really hectic, what are you buying? 3 pairs, 4 pairs?
But it's kind of ridiculous for them to put it behind spikes, though. Up to this point, I feel like that's where the energy has been directed to spikes.
It doesn't need to be towards the spikes because what do we all do as sprinters? We wear sneakers, we wear running shoes.
That's
however we want to talk.
But that seems totally logical. It seems totally logical.
Exactly.
For them not to have done that now already up to this point, it's so logical. It seems like there was a reason, but I don't know what the reason could possibly be. Oh, just to note, Bellotti, Bellotti he's a Canadian sprinter, young guy.
Yeah.
In the chat, he just said, "Who is Cindy?" Because you'd referred to Sydney as Cindy. It's very fresh. Very fresh.
Yeah. I
So
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah, Cindy was. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but he had to. He said it in the chat. You're very
No,
disrespectful for
true.
that, by the way,
It is.
Bilotti.
It is.
You're
But
very disrespectful.
I hear you. I hear you. Sydney.
Okay, so with the athletes in an Olympic year, does anything after the Olympics mean anything as far as they can steer? And from what you said, what I got was
You mean contractually,
Cindy.
or you mean promotionally?
Cindy is one of the um, athletes to look out for. No, so Sydney is one of the athletes that you would definitely want to have. Sha'Carri, Noah.
Facts. Yeah.
You mentioned the
Gabby.
women's 200, so Gabby, and w- would the emphasis be mostly on runners?
The emphasis. Okay, like we gotta be 100% here.
Sure.
You're buying shoes for those that are going to represent runners, putting on the mileage, actually running. As phenomenal as the achievements are from a field standpoint, from a thrower standpoint, it's not big. It's not big selling business there. It really isn't. I mean, again, a thrower would probably get more love from a supplement company or any type of equipment if he emphasizes, I actually redesigned kind of like a weight machine or design, like he should go that route. But shoe game, nah, no one's looking at, again, these are muscular, oversized men and women. No one's looking at what they're wearing and be like, yeah, I want that, because it does not
Right.
inspire mileage running. But yeah, it's in the
And no,
running.
that's not really a diss. It just
No,
you're
but some,
basically saying from a branding standpoint, it makes less
yeah,
sense
yeah.
because they do different things. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. So after the Olympics, does what you do matter in an Olympic year as far as what kind of deal you can get moving forward?
After the Olympics, does the deal? What do you
Mhm.
mean? Does the deal matter?
So like there's a bunch of diamond leagues left.
Yeah,
So say man's go there and or some women go there and run fast or
no,
win the diamond league final or
no,
come close to the
no.
world record or break a world record.
World
Could
world
that
records are world records are nice, and it really depends on your agent on what they put in terms of bonuses, and at the same time, what what's also in the contract world is, if you're able to run a certain time, a world record time, that kind of puts you in a different category. That then changes what might be your base salary. So what you get paid from a base salary standpoint might up it, but there's nothing that pays out more. There's nothing that says you're that man or woman to be invested in than achieving it or doing it in the Olympics. So when you go out and do the remaining meets, you do, that's all great, but it's really not going to change your life the way performing at the Olympics would be. And what ends up happening too is, when you're an Olympic medalist, whatever country you happen to be in, and in this case, you're coming out of Paris, you're coming out of France, and now you're going to go into the US market. If you happen to be a medalist for the US, and you happen to be a medalist that shows of age that realistically you'll be at the 2028, yeah, those contracts are going to be a lot more meaningful. Those contracts are going to be a lot more fruitful. Agents, that's when they earn it. Agents earn that, hey, life-changing money with regards to the projection of an athlete going into the Olympics.
Okay, so what it sounds like is US sprinters are the target, ideally, the best or
Okay.
US distance runners. I don't. I'm just
Yeah,
going
yeah,
off
yeah.
of people that you can market. So ideally
No,
US because the market's so big. We can agree.
the market's huge. Yes, the market is huge. If you look at all the sales, if you look at where the revenue is coming through, and you also look at the company itself, Nike in particular, it's a US company. You look at Addy. Yes, Addy has an American headquarters, but they're Germany based, right? Um, but the reason why I'm emphasizing US in this case is because that's where the Olympics are taking place. I mean, from a marketing
Okay.
standpoint, hey, back in our day, right? you to look at Asafa. Yes, he wasn't American, but he was that guy. So
Mhm.
when it's having the best, Asafa was that guy under the Nike brand. You want whoever happens to be the best at what they do. And in this case, for the majority, when you think of the largest, the giant, the Goliath in terms of the brands, Nike in this case don't have the roster of Nike athletes to represent that. And it was very telling when you actually looked at the commercial that came out this year. Sha'Carri was notably the only one, when you also have Coleman, but Coleman didn't even make it in the open sprint. You had my man, you talked about, hey, shout out to Fred Curley. You know what I mean? When he's on what Curley, what was that tag name you gave him when he's using when
Nike
he's
Foot
what?
Fred.
When he's got
Nike
when it's
Foot
Nike
Fred.
Foot Fred, he's a different guy. So
Mm.
he went from Asics and realizing, hey, from a footwear standpoint, I need to be on those Nikes. But they didn't even have him as that athlete. You want the best. You want those that not only going to win your U.S. trials, but who they think is going to win the Olympic gold. And Nike has always been about having. Let's just remember Atlanta. You talked about Michael Johnson earlier. That whole running in the golden spikes, that whole moment,
That was big.
they want that. They want something like that. And again, if there's any guarantees, Anson, I'm gonna say this. I know I'm a little long-winded. I like to speak. I like to hear myself talk. If there's anyone that's a guarantee, for a gold, and I don't, my desk is made of wood. I'm knocking on it. I don't want to jinx anything. But if you got that girl in the 4 hurdles, you're laughing. Think of all the promotional. You think of everything you're gonna see leading it. Different. And this is, and we're talking world records, Olympic records, right? Gabby's amazing. I think she can still reach another level, but owning a record going into an Olympics where I'm hearing whispers that she might even drop events. She might even add the 400 to her roster, which she could easily do. Yo, the storyline's nuts. It's absolutely nuts, and that's what every brand wants.
Can you get a decent contract off of just being really good looking?
With no, all right,
You're
with
decent.
no,
You're decent. You can make teams. You can make teams.
you can make
And you're
teams.
really good looking. Yeah. So you're going to be at the
Like
Olympics.
make teams on the make teams be part of the relay, or make teams like
or you get to, you know, semis. You know what I'm saying? You run, say you just run the opening rounds of a relay. You don't even run the final. Or say you run the final. I don't know. Just with some of those people.
It depends on your
Who aren't
market.
stars. They're not stars, but
It depends on your
good.
market. Because here's the thing.
I know
If
what
you
that
have
means.
what do you mean you know what that means? I'm gonna give some context.
Okay.
If you're in a smaller market country, right? So let's say you do your thing, you happen to represent like a Caribbean country, you happen even let's say it's actually, here's the easy part. If you're not able to really get into the world standings, but you're able to make your Olympic team, your world teams, and you can kind of on a good get into a semi, you're not going to be making enough from the shoe brands to actually be like, yeah, I'm gonna continue to make a career of this. Like you'd have to be really devoted and be like, I'm gonna break out, but you're not doing it just because you're getting that check. It wouldn't be substantial enough, because there's too much. There's more value in investing more in an athlete that's in a larger market, because again, you got more eyeballs, you can do more activations, you can, it just makes a lot more sense.
So if you're in a large market, then you can get a pretty good contract just off of your looks.
You can get away with it because again, there's so many running ads, there's so many activations, there's so many, even just modeling some of the gear and some of the like, yeah, you'll get by on it. But again, it's fine margins. Not everyone can do it, and we're also blessed in a sport where there's a lot of attractive people in track and field. A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. For those who are in the chat, if you got any questions, drop them in. I'll try to see them. If you really want them to stand out, go ahead and throw that super chat out there. Yo, my sound effects weren't working on my last broadcast, so the people who did put their super chat in there,
You couldn't big them up.
I couldn't give them their Sprint Culture gunshots.
That's messed up.
Yeah,
Messed
no.
up.
So
Who's your engineer?
it's me.
You need to
You're being
reduce
very
that salary.
Okay, so look, if there's a shift in the culture, right, and shoe companies are what they wanted, they realize, oh shit, we were tripping this whole time. Track and field should be at the forefront of marketing for shoes. Let's start getting some people in place. Who are the hot athletes that are going to get some of these brands the kickstart we need? Who would be? Give me 5 athletes. That's a short list, but give me 5 athletes. Even though I think you named some of them already. So
yeah, I misnamed a couple of them.
If there's names that you said already and you do it easily, then we can do 10 names. But let me hear 5 where you would definitely want to get a shoe. You want to start a shoe brand off with them, and we can come up with a name on the spot.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, it's great being on the show, but there's certain things that I'm kind of cannibalizing as a consultant as well. So I don't want to say too much in a way. But
big words. It's a big word. I'm not ready for them big words.
What's a big word? Cannibalizing?
It's not that big, but it's just a bit complicated for me.
All right, I hear it. Yeah, I won't ask to spell it. The challenge with the challenge with this is, and Noah spoke on this, and this is what I rate a lot in terms of like how he's thinking about his career. Many athletes in particular were like, hey, I'm gonna get that check. That check's gonna be enough for me. But I think where he's really different is he's thinking legacy. He's thinking, understands that this ride that he's on, or this star, it's only going to be so bright for so long. So let me maximize it. Let me establish myself. And it's actually very smart, because you're your hottest when you're winning. You're your hottest when everybody is talking about you, good or bad. But he's got everyone's attention because he is that nice. And when people are rooting against him, is because he's been winning, so they're rooting for him to lose, and he's just been that successful. When you think of starting a brand, you want a maverick. You want someone that's different from the norm. You want an extrovert. You don't necessarily want someone that's kind of like introverted and just to themselves. They just focus on it. But you do, if you're going to do that, they need to be exceptional. They need to be
They have to be really, really, really good if they're like that.
Really good. Really good. Just about business. And when you think of all of the greats, and obviously my examples mostly is because I had to go to Nike University. I had to study and see what made sense from a brand standpoint. If you want to look at the whole heritage with what Nike did very, very early and what they continue to talk about, Bowerman, but you want to talk about Prefontaine, they actually have a meet dedicated to this man. Prefontaine was that kind of maverick, was that go-getter, right? Defying the odds. If you're going to start your brand, you're going to want someone like that. You're going to want someone either mad confident, where they've kind of set their goal and they're like, I understand that this record stood for 15, 20, 30, 40 years. I want that. I believe I can do it. Or you want someone that's like, oh, there's greats around me, but I'm going to be better than them. And so when you look at that type of mentality, it would be absolutely fantastic. Now, Sydney is amazing in the sense that, and you kind of spoke about this on previous shows. Shout out, I tune in as often as I can.
Respect.
But she is so laser focused. I'm not gonna disrespect her and say that she needs to be something that she isn't. She doesn't need to be all flashy. Doesn't need to be boastful. Doesn't need to say I'm better than my competition. But she is so laser focused that if you're going to build a brand on just exceptional execution, like just scientifically proven, she's going to do what needs to be done to be the absolute best, you can easily build off a brand off that. Easily do it. And the trick is you got to decide on what lane you're going to be in if you're a startup. But this is what was amazing. My man who won the 200 this year, arguably small market, right? You're going to think, all right,
Let's see
everyone was
Tobago. Let's see Tobago.
Yeah. If
Yo,
you're
Taboho. Sorry, I just realized that it's Taboho.
It's okay. We can say wrong. We can say names wrong. That's what they're going to kill us in the chat for saying names wrong. What's happening here?
No, I'm okay with it, but we'll get into the names wrong stuff later. But go on.
The fact that he got welcomed by 30,000 people when the game's different now. The game's different in terms of
more than that because all the people on the street too. It was.
I think the stadium itself held 30,000. Obviously, everybody else that couldn't get in. So, but when you think of activations, when you think of moments, because everything's emotional, right? Everything's excitement. Everything's right while it's happening. It's infectious, and everybody wants to be a part of it. From a shoe standpoint, he competes and obviously runs. I think I heard someone say this on another show. I think if you add up all of Bolt's like big moments, world champions of Olympics, you add it all up in terms of what he had to execute, it's 4 minutes. You put all the compilations of all of his races, the 100, 200, it's 4 minutes.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, right?
I never thought about that, yo. Yeah.
But obviously, we know this. He put in mad hours, mad miles, kilometers, wherever you happen to be from, on his legs and whatever footwear he was wearing. He was a Puma athlete, but whatever the particular shoe was. That's where the game can change. Because obviously he wore shoes that he trained in, because you're not in spikes 24/7. No one runs like that. So the footwear that he's in, putting in that training, that's where the brands can market. That's where the brands can actually show compilation clips of him doing his plyos, him doing some of the sprints that again, in our flats. We call them in our flats. And they can show when he's just putting in that base training. That's easily sellable. And then, hey, if you happen to also win in the 800, 1500, that's probably the easiest translation in terms of them going out and putting their miles, a brand saying, here's the footwear, and then associating that to sales. That's probably the easiest thing. But sprinters could have easily been in that market as well. Easily. And they've always been an afterthought. It's always been whatever the shoe launch is, not particular designed around an athlete, but designed around, okay, here's the innovation that we've added in the shoe. But Puma, and you kind of said this, Puma missed the opportunity. Puma missed the mark. Now, would the Giant have missed it had they had that athlete? No. To this day, I'm sure they're kicking themselves to not have the Olympic and gold medal record holder and consistent winner throughout the world champs and Olympics. They're kicking themselves for it.
Yeah, that would have
been. But sometimes you miss out. Like you miss out on it.
Do you know what Nike would have done with Bolt?
Dude.
Holy shit, dog! I don't even want to think about that. This guy would be.
The shoe game would be like not Jordan. Jordan's a next level. I get it because of longevity and everything like that.
It would be up there. It'd be up there, though.
Exactly. He would be the Jordan of running. He would be the Jordan of running.
Yeah.
So,
and they would never miss out on an opportunity to create a long-standing brand of Bolt shoes. And his name, dog. His name is Bolt, yo.
His logo would be sick. You see the Jordan logo right now. You could already see it. Like,
it would have been.
Hey, he made his money. He made his money, but it would have been a different story had he been with Nike. And then think of Anson, think of all the runners that were under Nike while Bolt was running, right? There's a reason why, and shout out to them. They had amazing careers, but when you think of the business side, when you think of footwear, apparel, it's hard to really market those when they're not the guy. They were exceptional. They all had amazing careers and accomplishments. But when you're not the iconic, it's hard for you to get that brand apparel. It's hard for you to get that brand footwear. So when Noah now is realizing I'm the guy right now, he's looking over his shoulders and like, hey, whether you think he was wrong or right or whatever, but he's looking at like, I only lost this because I happened to get ill. but he was gonna double. He already had that set in his head. So he's looking over his shoulder and he's like, I'm the guy. I want to make my mark now. I want that shoe. Whether he goes the apparel route, who knows? But he's smart to change that thinking. And every upcoming athlete, regardless of whatever brand you're on, need to think that way. You need to challenge these brands that way.
Right. I think okay, so we have, I'm gonna have to start my Instagram feed again. I don't know why my Instagram feed keeps ending after an hour, but we're gonna keep going anyways. So Noah was your number 1, Sydney was your number 2.
You know what? My man who won the 15.
You mentioned Lesile, right? Did you mention Lesile? You didn't mention. We were talking about him before.
Yeah.
But go on. You did mention Lesile.
Yeah. Cole
Hawker.
Yeah.
Cole Hawker, ladies and gentlemen. Cole
1,500.
That's what. Okay, you know what? There was a dude in the chat that these 2 black runners. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're distance guys, but the two.
Yeah. I like what they do.
Yeah, so it was funny because they would have had no idea what kind of content I was coming out with today. I put a post out earlier pertaining to this, and I got another one coming out later, and I knew I was going to be on live with you. And this morning I woke up to a post of them talking about it, like, "Yo, how is only cleats attached to runners? Yo, I was like, "Yo," so they may have seen the show the week before. I don't know, maybe they didn't, but either way, like, more people need to be talking about it. Yo, like, it needs to. More people need to be like, "Hold on a second. This makes total sense."
Yeah.
Let me get my Instagram people back in. So we got, you were saying Cole Hawker, and why would you say Cole Hawker?
So when it comes down to, I'm a sprinter, I call that long distance. 1,500, is it long distance anymore? I don't know.
Long distance. Yes.
Yeah, I still think it's long distance. But when you think of the actual race, but then the training element of it, and when they want to only associate the spikes, to track athletes, but they actually do a better job of associating the flats to distance runners, right? And obviously marathoners, but that guy in particular, because, hey, I'm not in it like that anymore. I'm not in it to know who are the expected 8 to make the final, who are the expected 3 to medal, but that was a surprise. And when you have a surprise result, again, American, you're gonna want to make that a part of your brand. You're gonna want to make that.
Results are big,
huge.
I mean, that was a really big race, though. That was a really, really big
race. Yeah, that's one of the marquee
races.
races.
They weren't even talking about him. They were talking about Josh Kerr and Jakob Ingebrigtsen, and so there was a lot of people watching. It was arguably, I mean, the 100 is the 100 at the Olympics, but as far as within the track and field world, when we don't really put as much emphasis on the 100 above everything else, like the outside world does, it's arguable that was the most anticipated race with Jakob and Josh, and Cole Hawker won. So there's a lot of value in stuff like that.
Yeah, surprise results are huge because they're in the emotion of it, the surprise of it, even when the replayability with the announcing, the commentators, like all that's special, right?
And he lives in Oregon.
Hey, so from
Oregon, went to University of Oregon.
Yeah, they love that. I mean, they got their meet every year. Yeah, Nike's based there.
He's actually probably going to get some ridiculous numbers. Actually,
he's going to be. He's happy. He's happy. His agent.
He's got a very. His name stands out.
Yeah,
you can call his shoes the Hawkers.
You could.
The Hawkers. No.
Yeah. Don't.
We didn't go over the other names. We didn't. What?
Don't do any copy. Yeah.
You're leading with
Stick to engineering. Stick to engineering.
We didn't come up with a Sydney shoe name. And we didn't come.
I'm not doing all that as a consultant. I'm gonna save some of that. So
it's a larger fee to have some names.
Well, creativity. Creativity is actually that's some of the most challenging part of the business, but that's for another thing. with regards to the athletes, because you asked
Um,
for the 5.
Uh-huh.
You asked for the 5. And this is where it was also disappointing when you look at if I'm going to talk about the events, let me talk about the events as opposed to the athletes themselves. You want the 100 because that's where, honestly, the world shuts down.
Okay.
Everybody is watching. No lie. You're a distance runner. You're a thrower. You're a jumper. The 100 has everyone's eyes. If you can have that athlete, if you can have that going in, the energy is tremendous. Most kids gravitate to that. Most kids, and we all do this. I don't care who you are. Like, you can actually, if you've forgotten because you're too old now, we've all tried to prove who is the fastest wherever we've been, or we've always wanted to say, I'm faster than you. Everyone's done that challenge, right? Some learned early to stop making that challenge, but everyone's done that challenge. That connects with everybody. And then when you got that level of speed, everyone identifies with the 1 that'll go all the way up to the 4. If you're exceptional, think of Edwin Moses. You now think of our girl right now, Sydney. It is marquee. Now, this pains me because we do the sophisticated sprint. The hurdles is where you separate the men from the boys. Anybody can run in a straight line, but can you run and deal with obstacles when other men are colliding with you as well? That's I wish it was promoted differently. I'm not going to lie to you. I wish that the approach to the sprint, the approach to the hurdles was actually better explained by the commentators, because it's not just negotiating barriers. They make it seem so simple. It's the most.
Not that simple.
It is. It's not. It's not that simple.
I'm just joking. I know it's not that simple.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're right.
On another show, we'll have Battle of the Sexes. You know what I mean? Because ladies, something needs to happen with y'all sprints. I'm just saying. The sprint hurdles.
They need to race.
I think so. But
you know what's bothering me about the women's hurdles right now? The times are getting ridiculous because
the
women all they're doing is they're learning to run better, so their knees are up higher. So basically, with their knees being up higher, they don't really have to hurdle no more. They're just kicking their leg out. All they did was work on their running. So now they're sprinting, but because they're sprinting in high knees and everything, all they got to do, they barely got to even jump, yo.
It's crazy.
So now you see women getting down to these ridiculous times just because they figured it out. Like, hold on a second, I don't got to hurdle. I'm just work on my running, and I'll just kick my foot out, yo. And just
it's not running. That simple. It's not that simple, but I hear you. I do hear you. Yeah.
I'm simplifying it, but that is what's happening, though.
Yeah, we got to talk.
Okay, but yeah, continue. So that's 5 athletes you gave me.
5 athletes I gave you. Now, I know. I think there's also a missed opportunity when it comes down to be honest with you, with regards to the jumps, though. I know there's specialty footwear, but it's about what they do in training. This is when it's like, hey, I get it. You don't think there's a lot of sales in the actual footwear that you wear, that you wear in the competition, whether you're long jumping, triple jumping, high jumping. I get that, but it's the same way. It's the same way when you want to look at golf, when you want to look at even when it comes down to football. Sometimes the marketing is not just plainly on the cleat that they're wearing, because you market all of it. And the same way you want to go and expand the brand, not everything that LeBron has is just tied to his shoe. There's other elements of the athlete that you can market off of. But I think what they do in the base training is where everything's kind of being missed. And it requires someone to change the paradigm. You got to change how you think about it. But the short list of athletes, yeah, especially with the jumps, because the plyos aren't done in jumping spikes. Say again?
Yeah, I think it's untapped. The jumping market, because people running, a lot of people do, but people are very fascinated with jumping, especially jumping high and being able to propel your body. So it's there's something there as far as being able to show that these shoes can get you off the ground better.
Blaze, another thing is, when you look at how are these athletes that are able to jump so far or so high, when they're putting in the plyos, where they're putting in that base, what shoe are they trusting to manage the absorption or protect their knees, their ankles, their feet, right? So yeah, the thinking needs to change, and I need to stop because I'm spilling too much.
Pause. But yeah. You yeah, I think that yeah, okay.
Spilling too much is a pause. Why is
It's
spilling a
yeah.
pause? In the chat, is
I don't know.
spilling a pause?
I'm not comfortable discussing this any further. Okay, look. It was good that you actually broke down which events have more priority. But I'm wondering. Oh, this is what I was going to ask. So the people you named off, you gave me 5 athletes. They're all winners. Would Fred be marketable?
Fred
He's not a
Curley.
winner. He's medalist. He's.
I mean, he's a former winner. He won worlds.
Okay, so that sticks forever as long as you're prevalent and stay in podiums and stay relevant, and you've already been a champion. That has power for the remainder of your career.
He's proven. Oh, not the remainder of the career, because running contracts are cutthroat. Running contracts of all contracts is how good are you lately? You're only as good as your last season. Sometimes you're only good as your last race, depending on when it happens on your contract side. But it is cutthroat because, again, for these brands, sometimes they're investing in more than one athlete. So I'm investing in athlete A. They happen to dip, but athlete B just raised their level. So contract comes down for A, contract goes up for B. It's managed that way. In the nature of it, it's got to be that deadly. It's got to keep everybody hungry, not necessarily at odds. Like, athletes don't need to be at odds with everybody, but like you showed, or you talked about, and you were part of the sprint on terms of the documentary. When you show up at these diamond leagues, when you show up at these meets, it is cutthroat. It's cutthroat, and you know that if I win, you aren't. That's more for me. That's less for you, and this is what's going to keep it all balanced. So, Curley, for what he's done, being a world champion, for what he did, obviously making it to the Olympics by being top 3 at his trials, that means something. Like, there's only a few countries where you being able to be top 3, hey, chances are you're going to be a medalist, because you're it's that competitive, it's that cutthroat. Now, I think he himself needs to have a season to build off of the Olympics if he's going to be that type promotional person. But no, these athletes don't need to change who they are. You mentioned it earlier. Social media, you don't have to change who you are. If your brand is, I say what I want, I think all these other athletes next to me are bums, I don't care, I'm gonna cut their heads off when I race them. If that's who you are, that's cool. If you're another one where you're like, hey, I'll let my running on the track do the talking, that's fine as well. That can all be your brand. But from a company standpoint, at the end of the day, and this is what I said from the very beginning, the brands are trying to associate themselves with winners. No, I don't even care if you're a startup just coming into the mix. You're not trying to associate your up and coming shoe with a person that you think are going to get blasted. You're not trying to associate your shoe with that. So if Curley, with that experience of being world champion to now medalist at the Olympics, and is going to make his way on, he can still get that deal. It just won't be that deal of a Noah who won it. Won't be that deal of whoever is showing to be faster than him. It's that simple.
Yeah. Sprint Culture viewers, big yourselves up. I'm forgotten about y'all. I see the chat happening. I'm not catching all the chats. Like I said, if you want your question to stand
it's active.
out,
I don't read the chat. Is it active?
It's very active, yes. Go ahead and hit that super chat, and I will not go without saying your comment if it's not stupid on purpose. By accident, stupid, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Talking to
smart people in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rude.
Talking to Vader Games, aka Vader, aka Adrian, talking about shoes. and the marketing aspect of shoes, as he was the tell me the best way to say your title, because I kind of just put something together that it made sense.
Yeah, no, the easiest way was sports marketing. That's where I live. Sports marketing and brand
Sports
marketing.
brand marketing, track and field.
Or
Was it
running.
for track and field alone or for
No,
running?
it was
Okay,
running.
I'm trying to put more emphasis on track and field. Running is
Yeah, I
just
get that. I get
very
that.
broad. Everybody runs.
Everybody
Not
does
everyone does
run,
track
yeah.
and field.
And another thing,
Okay,
sorry, before you go on, because it was so broad, even with the running, that would also include the inspiration or some what might be aspirations for some athletes when it comes down to triathlon with a running element of it, road races, cross country, marathons. Like those athletes are all obviously incredible when they're able to break records, do things that no human before them have been able to do. That's very marketable. But at the same time, sometimes that connects mostly with the hardcores, right? Those that geek out and nerd out about running. They kind of like follow all that stuff. What you're trying to appease to is like, whoa, I believe in this hype. Oh, the Olympics are on. I'm catching it. People don't really sit down and like watch that marathon that's happening. That Boston Marathon, they're not in it like that. That New York Marathon, nah. Chicago, nah, it's not like that. But if the result just came in, so and so just did something exceptional, yeah, people tune in. But you want to be tied up to when the world stops. That's been the sprints. That's been Olympic records.
Mhm. I see a name for the Cole Hawker shoes that I actually think I like and I think
That
would
could hit.
stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Hawk Tuas.
Oh my goodness.
Actual random.
That
Was that you that came up with that?
that's messed.
The Hawk Tuas?
Right.
I think
I
that
hate
would stick, yo.
I hate how trendy that's become.
The
And
Hawk
let me
Tuas?
let me show some transparency because I got kids. I don't even think I hope they don't even
Is that a
understand what
thing?
it is.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that was trending a couple months ago because
I didn't know that.
yeah.
But yo,
It's messed up. It's
I said
messed
that
up.
very
Yo,
boldly.
explain it in the chat so Blaze knows what's going on.
I said it very boldly without any understanding of what that actually is.
Either you're an excellent actor and you don't know what it is, or you've been so busy with what was going on in sprint culture that you didn't catch it. But that was trending for all the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
Of chat, let me know what this means so I can get up to speed because I'm not. Yo, pick up the one named Super Hot Pots. We were just talking about you, dog. We were just talking about how this morning I saw your post where you were talking about the cleats in the shoe game, and it was interesting that I was getting ready to do all this content today. So big yo, we got to get you on the show one of these days. And big up Cole Hawker. I know you're a huge Cole Hawker fan. Yo, Aaron, I don't know what it is. Come on, man. Whatever, man. Maybe I'll figure it out afterwards. You can put it in the chat so I can understand because I don't know, man.
What's the age range? Because
Of the people that know?
No, the people that are watching, because it's not kid appropriate.
No, it's usually over 18. There ain't like no young kids really watching my shit.
All right.
At least I don't think so.
Well, however you want to phonetically type it, just type it. You'll know it real quick.
What, in Google?
Yeah.
Now I'm afraid to type it, yo. I don't.
No, it was trending for all the wrong reasons.
I don't care anymore, yo. Y'all.
I hate that I know it. To be honest with you, I hate that I know it. And my man, whoever put that in the chat, that name's messed up. That's never flying.
That is crazy that I said that. If somebody just put it in the chat, that is crazy that I just.
Oh yeah, you said it like it was nothing.
Like nothing.
Yeah. It was a little too comfortable the way you said it. To be honest with you,
it was comfortable enough to where people would understand the innocence. I wouldn't be able to hide that.
Now that I play it back in my mind, you're nasty. You're dirty. That's what it is.
Yo,
now
man.
that I think about it.
Yo. Oh man, okay. You know what? That shoe name might not be a good idea. Guys, we gotta come up with something else. Okay. You think that's a little bit? That wouldn't be good to. That shouldn't. I shouldn't make that into a clip, should I?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. You could
Yeah.
clip that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Okay. Vader, what could get an athlete dropped from their contract?
Lots of things. Listen, this is legalese. The contracts aren't one page. The contracts, and if you are a marquee, I'm talking marquee. Let's not
Yeah.
okay. I mean, yeah, let's not talk contracts with the athlete on the come up trying to break through. Hey,
Say
I'm gonna be
someone that's
real with you.
established. Someone's
Someone
established. They've done
established.
their thing. They've won some things. They're in the mix, but
Somewhat,
they're
yeah.
what could change? What could cause a shoe company to be like, no, we don't want your services anymore.
Listen, the shoe contracts are designed to have the athletes certain amount of appearances, certain amount of availability, certain amount of quote unquote meet appearances for what the brand may do, but also for their career, for their season. And then depending on the contract, there's also some commitments that are required through their social media. So when the athletes are on TikTok, have their Instagram, have their Twitter X, they have their I don't even think Facebook's being used anymore, but whatever they want to do on their social medias, those are all outlined. Those are all, here are what our expectations are with how you will represent yourself in particular and the brand. And there's quote unquote kind of like a moral clause, a standard of brand clause. If you go out of pocket with that, most likely, if the blowback pause isn't that severe, what I mean by that is if the people aren't questioning, calling outrage, having all of that, can be kind of calm, because again, this is a brand. At the end of the day, it's about making money. If the consumers are cool with it, most likely the brands are cool with it. If there's an uproar from the people that are tended to buy the product, if they have a problem, then yeah, that wording within those contracts are like, hey, things need to be changed here. So what can get dropped? Avoid political.
So a lot of stuff you can saying or being known for political statements or stances can definitely get you dropped.
Yeah, I mean, you can't call out. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Just yeah.
You can, yeah.
I got
You can
you. Yeah.
have your ties. If you want to share, again, there's a reason why Jordan didn't say what he was tied to.
Right.
But if you want to do that, sure. You just know that most people, especially how people alienate so much right now, if you say I'm with this, that means you're against that just by proxy, right? So if you want to do that as an athlete, cool. I would advise not to. Keep all that.
Okay.
Keep all that to yourself. And think about it career-wise. I'm gonna just keep my mouth shut while my career is going. After that, I'll do what I want. But I would advise, again, if it was the consulting part, keep all that to the side. Also, when it comes down to any type of conflicts, right? We know what's going on over in Israel. We know what's going on over in Russia, Ukraine. Again, same thing.
Say nothing.
Typically, say nothing. Typically, if you have a point to make, obviously, most likely, when it comes down to these terrible moments that are happening in the world, obviously you can share your dislike of the treatment of people or the hardships that people are having. But hey, if you're going to go that route and be like, I denounce, I cuss out, I ban, hey, leave that alone. Bad idea. Another thing is, you got to stay away from anything sexual. You got to stay away from anything
that's broad,
that may
though. That's broad. Say you okay. So, do you mean like things you say, or what about how you come off? If you come off as a very promiscuous, sexual person, that doesn't work in your favor?
Male or female, it's risque to it's risque to be too liberal with your treatment of women or men, or being too liberal with your expression of your sexual activities. That,
Right.
but that's pretty common. Like, modesty is how you should be moving.
I wanted to, I'm kind of, I don't want to forget this question here. I want us to come back to this, but I don't want to miss this part because I know that Alicia Newman has been pretty open about having an OnlyFans page, right? And she's a medalist. And from what I can't remember what shoe companies she's with. I don't want to say it wrong. So, but being with the shoe company and being known for having that and being very open about it, she's not keeping it hidden. She's very open about it, but also being good because she's a bronze medalist from this year. Are they battling with that? Because we know what OnlyFans is, whether or not people are being sexual on there. We know what
It's
the
it's a
general
little
idea of it is.
yeah. No, so here's the here's the thing. It is still very broad because unless what is being done on OnlyFans gets out, it's just all speculation, right? And again, I'm not gonna paint a brush over everyone that's on OnlyFans to say that what they're doing is explicit, because there are people out there that just want to see the behind the scenes. They want to see you maybe painting toenails or whatever it is. Not everything needs to be at those extreme levels, but if it is and it gets out, most likely most brands aren't going to be tied to it. Now that can lead to a whole different line of opportunities and sponsorships, because we've seen whenever things kind of in that world leak out, who comes knocking, who comes requesting. It's companies on that side of that side of the business that will try to get those exclusives or access or whatever.
Did you know I have an OnlyFans page?
Okay.
Do you know what I do?
First and foremost, don't ever disrespect me and ask me if I know if you have an OnlyFans page.
No, come on.
Because the answer is no.
You just
The
finished
answer is
saying
no.
that people aren't necessarily doing sexual things on there. It's just, you know what I'm saying? I edit on mine.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, but the answer is no. I didn't know that.
I don't wear my hood.
Yo,
anyways,
watch them talks.
Oh yeah, boss. So anyways, moving along. Let's get back to what we were saying a second ago as far as what can get you dropped. So what else can get you dropped? You mentioned two things.
Yeah, and anything with regards to legal. So don't be under the influence. Don't be putting people's lives at risk. That's a major. So again, driving under the influence, public intoxication, all that kind of stuff. That's all risque, and it's not necessarily being dropped. But if it's going to require you to come out with a public statement, because again, that's now addressing how you need to speak to society or speak to the public, then that's affecting again how the company is going to want to be promoting or tying their brand of success, professionalism, being a role model for others, inspiration for athletes, or especially athletes in this world. That's going to be a risk. You're going to be putting things at risk, and sometimes it's just accumulation, right? Sometimes these mistakes can actually just be reductions. Like, listen, I can no longer market you the way I once could, because you had that wholesome brand. You had that, hey, from the parent to the kid, yeah, I want you to be like so and so. Now that kind of changes. I can't really promote you the same way. Things get reduced contractually. But getting dropped, it's when it's from a point of no return. Like, I can't salvage this. We got to cut ties. Or you've pissed too many of the wrong people off. Yeah, it's got to end.
And does how good you are have an effect on how seriously that might be an obvious question now that I say it out loud. How good you are can have an effect on how severe something is affected by the company and making the decision like that. Because what I would want to lead to is I've always wondered how challenging it was for Nike to navigate through Sha'Carri's situation in 2021, because it
Yeah,
was only, obviously, weed is legal in a lot of places in the world now, so it wasn't that big of a deal from that standpoint.
yeah,
It was a very short ban,
right,
uh, but she's an enormous athlete.
right,
So if she wasn't that good of an athlete, if she wasn't Sha'Carri, because she's not
yeah,
only good, she was the biggest star in the sport by far,
yeah. She's different. Yeah, she's
one of
different.
the biggest stars we've ever
She's a
seen in history.
breath of fresh air in terms of her directness and her attitude. Yeah.
Right. So if she wasn't that person, would they s- would they have kept her, in your opinion?
If she wasn't that person, I don't think that I don't think regardless of her stature, if it was someone with less stature, that they would get dropped, because again, it's different. Weed's different now. Weed's like
Mhm,
more, it's more commercialized, it's more accepted. It's not like that faux pas thing.
mhm,
Um get any other athlete, I don't think they get dropped. But here's where things kind of net out from a balance standpoint. She was probably going to be looking to be part of a lot of endorsements or even promotions going into it. That gets cut off. That's like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Things that would have been paid to do that, they quote unquote save on. So I don't think there would have. I would assume that there wouldn't have been any type of reduction. I don't think that there would have been any type of slap on the hand. It's just like, okay, now you got to wait until next season to prove what you want to achieve and what you want to do, and contractually do what you got to do. But no penalty, no risk of being dropped. If it was something, if it was like quote unquote like a performance enhancing,
mhm,
and again, Nike's had to navigate through those lines before, not necessarily dropping an athlete, but reducing them. That happens behind closed doors. That would be the case. But a complete drop, nah.
mhm.
And and then let me also say this: she's a phenomenal athlete. Her
Right.
future is mad bright. So I don't even think, and shout out to her coach. I don't even think he hasn't gotten the most out of her yet. He's still layering on the experience, the strength, and the understanding of the sprints. She's still going to raise level. She's going to raise her level. So from a brand standpoint, they're like, no, we're invested in that. Now, when it looks like she's no longer doing this, yeah, it's easier to drop an athlete. And don't let there be another. In this case, don't let there be another American that's challenging her, because then it's like,
Mhm.
well, you're declining, we'll invest it, and it is a cutthroat. It's but that's what gets the best out of everybody, because it's finite. You gotta strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah. Um, the question I was just about to ask, don't let this question go away, please. Oh, such a genius question, because I'm a genius.
Getting dropped, performance enhancing,
Oh, performance
contract.
enhancing. Yeah, no, okay, so and I just thought about this when you'd mentioned performance enhancing would be a bad thing in this scenario. But say, I don't know if you've heard that they're coming up with a new organization called the Enhanced Games, right?
Yeah,
And there's a lot of backing for it.
yeah,
There's huge investors, and it's it actually seems like it's going to be a real thing.
yeah,
Now, if it's something that is, because I think that what gets in the way of track and field a lot of the time is that the organization and the way it's presented from an organizational standpoint is very weak. That's why people are able to disrespect it, or why a
they're
lot of
old
times
school. I wouldn't say weak. They're just not innovative. That's
they
the
haven't
thing.
evolved. They're
It's
the
old
BlackBerry of
thinking.
sports.
Wow, don't do that to a Canadian company, man.
No,
You've
I love
changed.
BlackBerry. I
Yeah,
love
but
BlackBerry.
the way you said that, that was rude.
Come on, don't be so sensitive. You
Say
know what I mean?
AOL. Say AOL or something like
But
that.
I didn't
Like
want
if
to
I
say
said
AOL. You
this guy
understood what
went
I was saying by
BlackBerry.
saying BlackBerry.
Yo, that's
I
rude.
I'd buy BlackBerry now.
You over in the UK, man. You changed. Like, all right.
Anyways, um, yeah. So I think because the sport on a whole doesn't have that prestige in comparison with
Yeah. They're
some
Stone
of the
Age
major
thinking. Yeah.
sports. people make it seem like the feats aren't that big, but it's only because of that. It's not because of the actual
Yeah.
feats. This situation with Noah Lyles and Anthony Edwards, Noah has done way more than Anthony, in my opinion, as far from an athlete standpoint,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But because Anthony Edwards is in the NBA, that gives more credit to what he's doing.
Mhm.
That's a World Athletics issue. So say the enhanced games becomes a huge thing. It's known, and all the investors, the huge investors that they have, are make this into a real thing that's a staple.
Yeah.
Would shoe companies then become involved?
Yeah, shoe companies are going to get involved because, again, you want to be associated with the best, right? So whatever that enhanced winner is, this enhanced winner chose to wear this particular brand. That's something. Impressions mean something. Eyeballs mean something. There's the reason why all these companies pay these huge sponsorship endorsement dollars, because they want to be seen during these moments. These enhanced games, for me in particular, I think we're living through a simulation. We're living through the matrix. We're living through a real life test dummy, like crash dummy testing with regards to this, because it's like, well, I don't know how they regulate it, or if it's just gonna be the wild wild west. But yeah, these athletes can pump whatever they want in their bodies. Okay, let's see what their life longevity is. Let's see what the benefits are in terms of muscle strength or performance or endurance or lactic acid prevention. All that. Let's just study these guinea pigs. That's what I see when I think of these enhanced games. But from a performance standpoint, I think these brands aren't necessarily going to be like, this will be our roster of athletes in terms of putting them in front of marketing campaigns. But I think the companies are still going to want to be like, well, yeah, you're winning the first ever enhanced games. What footwear is associated to purity? So let's say our world of track and field. How fast do you run when you're wearing shoe A in the clean sport, and how do you run still in shoe A in the hand sport? Because then you can maybe do a comparison on what that difference is. I don't know. I think the whole games thing is wild to me. But hey, people like a circus. It's giving me UFC vibes. And no disrespect to UFC, I think it's fantastic. But
UFC? That's disrespectful.
oh,
What's
now
wrong with
I'm
the
being
UFC?
disrespectful.
What's wrong with
At
the
the
UFC?
I'm saying on the come up of UFC, MMA, right? When it was being compared to boxing, it was like, oh, that rogue sport, that
Uh,
maverick, and
but it
you know what I
became
mean?
mainstream. But it became mainstream.
But it became mainstream, and I
So
think
you
that's
weren't
how
being
it's going to become
disrespectful.
up. No, 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 not like
Okay.
you and BlackBerry.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yo, if a man runs 8 seconds, yo, I know shoe companies are gonna be like, well, I mean, you know,
Yeah, but is he
man,
running 8 seconds? But again, this is where the difference is. Is he
Bridget,
running eight
8 seconds.
seconds?
Anyhow, 8 seconds in whatever form is going to be like, holy shit. It doesn't. A lot of people are going to be like, well, I'm not watching that 8 seconds because he's.
No, no,
He,
Blaze. This is here the thing. No, see, you're catching it wrong. I'm just saying the association, right? The thinking, the connection, right? It's not going to be this person ran 8 seconds because they're wearing shoe A. The connection is going to be this person ran 8 seconds because it's the enhanced games, and this is what your body can take you to.
right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's just we're just. But he was wearing these
Right.
when he ran that 8 seconds.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. But yo, the marketing's gonna be different. Listen, the syringes are gonna be all on display. Yo, you're gonna have
like,
all of these
what?
chemical companies on display. You know those backdrops? You know when you're having the press conference
Yeah.
and you see the different
Yeah.
logos? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna see like Genetic X, and you're gonna see
Yeah, they're probably gonna be all over their bodysuits, dog. Look at
yeah,
them people are gonna get revolutionary.
it's gonna be disgusting.
It's
Yo, what?
it,
Sorry, I gotta ask you
you're
this.
gonna go
And
off. What's up?
I was listening. What did some of the former greats like the Baileys and Johnsons, like Ben Johnson, Donovan
Mhm.
Bailey. What did they say they probably running in today?
Like
Did they
9.3.
give you? They said like 9.3, given the
Yeah,
difference in tech.
the shoes and the
Yo,
track surfaces, and it's funny. I had Ben on the other day. I remember I was talking to you. I was having some audio issues, but even when I was watching it back, I was like, you know what? I don't want to leave this there
mm,
forever because Ben was just saying some things, dog.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah, yeah.
So but one part of it that was funny though, that I wish I could have kept, because it would have been a fun back and forth to see with them. I'm sure they would have had fun with it. Is Ben basically saying, "What's Donovan talking about? He'd be able to run nine tree." When he was running, they had the Mondo surfaces. He's like, "Yo, they had the Mondo surfaces in '96." What's he talking about? He had the same surfaces
Mm,
they have right now. I think the surfaces might be a little bit faster now, but
yeah,
Mondo was around in '96, which is, yeah, it's understandable. But he was saying how it's not comparable to him running
I hear
9.79
it.
back in the day.
I
And the
hear
man
it.
said even the shoes he was wearing, he said he could fold it up and put it in his pocket. That's what
Yo,
them shoes were,
listen,
yeah.
listen. This is you kept your old spikes.
Not all of them.
This is an old spike, but
Whoa.
let me show. Like, this still has bend in the heel here. You know what I mean? It's not now. You got that, and I got a pair at the time. Canadian record
Those
holder in
aren't super thighs,
400.
right? Those weren't super thighs. Those were
Nah, these were just before those.
right.
I won't give any. But then these is when we were kind of getting to that world where it was like the high fiber
Yeah, I
carbon
remember
fiber
those.
plate, right? But this isn't even where things are at now, because you know that there's a layer here now. You know that there's an energy returning layer here.
Imagine the
Listen,
shoes are, come on, man. I don't want no
different
one
game.
saying nothing about, I don't want no one up to date talking about my times ever.
I hear
Talking
it.
about me running 10-1. Don't do it because
It's mad disrespectful.
yeah, dog. Imagine a man um digging a hole in the dirt to put
Oh,
his
okay.
to
I was
put
like,
his
yo,
feet
finish
in
that
the
sentence.
starting
Yeah.
blocks. To come out the starting blocks. And a man with blocks is talking shit about how he can
Yeah.
get to 30 faster than him.
Yeah, that's mess.
Like, shut up, dog.
Yeah, people need to respect the journey of where the sport's gone. Respect the innovation that's been put
And
not only into the
innovation
track.
happens.
Yeah. Even the gear, even the wind resistant gear. I got it. Hey, one thing that was really nice to see. I got to shout out the Americans, US. That gear on TV, that reflectiveness that Nike did with regards to the US suit, let's fly. Just fly.
Yeah. Hey, I also heard, and I've been really watching for people that are they don't wear the regular bodysuits that are like vests, the ones that
Okay.
wear with the shoulders, because apparently they have stuff you can wear underneath your clothes that actually assist in your movement.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
like
not.
the elasticity of the gear will
Yeah,
bring your
yeah,
arms back quicker and
yeah.
forward quicker. It's it's
You
it's
know where that was. You know where that was a little. That was getting blatant, and I could see it. Remember the Adidas suits? They had like the really like, it was a really stiff band on the back. You could see it. It kind of made for a little like elasticity. Like,
for real.
yeah.
And really, if you think about it, you can make some bodysuits that are gonna help bring your legs up.
That'd be messed. That'd be messed up.
But it makes, and even if it's not the bodysuit, a company can make tights or undergarments that are gonna do that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Within the fabric line. Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah. That.
it brings your legs back or
Uh,
it brings your legs up. It's like,
it's
it's
gonna
a
get there.
madness, yo.
In the enhanced games, I'm sure they're gonna probably allow all that.
Dog.
Imagine they're going to allow for the enhancement of the footwear. Go wild. Shoe brands go crazy. Make whatever assistant shoes. Now we're going to also allow you to make whatever dynamic exoskeleton apparel. You can wear that as well and drug yourself up as much as you want. Go nuts.
These shoes are gonna have propellers. It's gonna be
The
mad,
game's
yo.
crazy. The game's crazy.
but we might see 7 seconds. I don't know, man. Yo, I don't know.
So what are you seeing in
But
the 60 as you say that though?
I haven't even, my brain isn't even working that way where we're getting into that realm. Like what numbers to expect coming through 60. Coming through 60, what? What would that be, like 4 something? 5 something? No, 4 something.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they're gonna have a special type of blocks as well, like the boost you.
You know what? We're probably looking at this the wrong way as well. Like the throws are probably going to be crazy.
Well, I don't even know if they've even
Enhanced
thought of.
game throwers.
Oh man, that's gonna be mad.
Ooh.
Everyone, there's a lot of people saying, "Well, everyone's gonna find out that people are drugged up in track and field already, and they're gonna see the times are exactly the same." And mind
Yeah,
you, there's a lot of
shut.
people that are on drugs now. There is, but no,
Who's
these times
saying
aren't gonna be
that?
the same now.
They're
Look
trying to
at
say
if
the enhanced games are going to have similar performances to the
yeah, basically,
relegated or regulated sport.
right,
Nah.
basically saying because people are dirty already. But if people with actual talent go over there, then no, the times are not going to be the same. Times are going to be
Right.
absolutely
Right.
ridiculous
Right.
in everything.
Yo, that's kind of messed up.
Everything.
What if it becomes a farming system though? This is what I'm scared of.
What
It
do you mean by
becomes a
that?
farming system where athletes try to get away with competing dirty in the clean sport, and they're like, "All right, they caught me," and then they go down to the enhanced game.
Yo, that would be it would be an amazing fallback because especially if they're getting paid, because
Yeah,
those athletes need to be getting paid, it's gonna be like, well, I don't know, I tried to run with y'all, you got me, so let me go get this money.
exactly.
Yo, there's some athletes that I see. I've even thought about an athlete like Isam Azinga. You know who Isam Azinga is?
Nah.
He's a high schooler that just broke the world junior record, and apparently there was like a grain of salt worth of I don't know what the exact substance was, but it was a
He had
banned
a
substance.
chemical. Oh, for real?
Yeah, so he got banned and got his world junior record taken away and
Damn.
everything. He's did you hear about the high schooler beating Noah in the 100 last year?
Yeah. That's it. That's
Yeah,
who. That's who that was.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So he amazing talent, and
Mm.
now he's been taken out of the sport. He had said that it was some tainted Gatorade gummies, so he's trying to go at
I did see
Gatorade.
that. Yeah, I did
Right.
see that. I
So he's
thought
trying.
you know how something comes up on your timeline and you're like, "Yo, this is just some bot generated nonsense."
Yeah,
So I didn't
no, it
pay
was
no
real. It
mind.
was
Okay,
real.
it was real.
No, it
All
was
right.
real. So in a situation where he's fighting to get back into track and field as we know it within World Athletics, and they're making it very difficult, and he has to go through all
Mhm.
this court stuff. And if these games were to offer him, and they would offer him some ridiculous money because he
Yeah.
has legitimate talent. There's gonna be
Right.
a lot of people that go over there with no talent, and if
Exactly.
there's only people there with no talent, then they know that it's gonna fail. But if there's people with real talent that go there, I mean, they're
Listen,
laughing.
yo,
They're gonna
Blaze,
be all over him.
this is
They're
the
gonna be all
crazy
over him.
thing though. This is the crazy thing, and I mean, I've been fortunate to kind of see things a little in the future. He could probably still go over there, quote unquote, clean, dirty, whatever, and still be that guy. But you know where this is going to go because it does it with everything. When you had the ABA before the NBA and all that, everything gets combined. You're going to have competitors, WCW, WWE, right? You're going to have all of that. This is going to be clean, dirty, and then you know what's going to happen between the clean and dirty because in these races, everything's still timed. If the timing of the dirty is whatever it is, there's gonna be a showdown. There's gonna be
Yeah,
the Sky Dome runoff
and that would
we
be
had with
wicked.
Michael Johnson and Donovan Bailey. There's gonna be the runoff.
That would be
And
wicked.
yo, That's
I,
the
I
ultimate
think I
test.
think to be honest, if that shit gets traction, I think World Athletics should think about some. It'll be challenging, but they need to think of some unique ways to coexist. They can't just that's that side, this is this side, because
Nah, you can't combine it. You
you
can't.
can't. No, you can't combine it. You can't combine it, but you
You can't
definitely
endorse
cannot
it
combine
either.
it. You
You
can't
can't endorse
endorse
it.
it either, but they should be open to events like what you just mentioned, where they actually
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
where they can
Oh,
battle it
that's
out.
more
That's
like
what I'm talking about.
that's more like a Logan Paul type pay-per-view. Let's get the eyeballs and everybody. That's
Right.
what that is. But
Yeah, but it
I want
would
to
get a
ask
lot of
this.
eyeballs.
I want to
Huh.
ask this because I didn't pay too close attention to it. But did you hear of anybody placing bets, like actual legal bets on Olympic winners?
Yeah, enough.
And okay, and did you think that can also gain in momentum? Like that can be like,
What? Mention that's the future.
hmm,
That's the. I don't know why but I feel like they're trying to stay away from it. But that puts track and field in a whole different place. That's another
yeah,
thing that's obvious that hasn't been really explored.
yeah,
But I feel like that's another thing that any new
yeah.
organization is going to be open to
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it
Just wanted
makes
to pose a
sense.
question. Something to talk about later. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna. We're coming up on 2 hours now, so I'm gonna get ready
What?
to. Yeah, no,
Yo, this is
no, I
overtime.
know, I know. So, but I do. I want to have you. I want to have you back because I want to discuss a few more things.
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
obviously, with the way the season ends, some other things may come up. But no, this is really some really good insight. Uh, and yeah, let people know about the stuff that you have going on, like the shows you have going on, and where they can find you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this conversation's always been this is a little behind the scenes because Anson, Blaze, and I usually have this convo obviously off camera. Like we grew up in track and field, and obviously his and my friendship grew from being on national teams together, and then the afterlife of working with Nike and things of that. But having the conversation on camera, it's been amazing. I have separated myself because hey, what I do in my work day, I try to do different in my leisure time. My leisure time has actually been paying attention to the English Premier League with regards to football, that you call it over in the UK, or soccer here in North America. So that's where I've been spending my time. That's how I've been kind of chilling. So if you happen to like that kind of football content, and I don't, hey, if there's a little bit of crossover, look me up, Vader. Look up Vader Games. You'll find me on YouTube. I try to talk sense. I try and talk as much trash as I can. If you like that content, go check me out. But yeah, man, that's pretty much how I chill out. The work stuff, the consulting, that's what that is. I got a son now that's 13, and he told me, I'm proud. I'm proud. He told me, I want to do track and field, Dad. He told me that last year. I see so last year I was telling him, hey X, you know, do some sit-ups, do some push-ups. Here I got some, fire hydrants, some core stuff to do. Last year he was like, I don't want to do this. Why are you making me do this? This year, 13, like clockwork. Man's doing, I say man, young boy's doing push-ups now. He's doing sit-ups on his own. He's doing some core because it clicks. Some kids it just clicks when they're ready. So he's a sprinter. I don't know if he's gonna be a hurdler, although he was good at it last year. But he's a sprinter right now. He's a sprinter like his uncle Anson. But nah, man. And my daughter, we'll see. She's a dancer, and she's gonna be she's got the talent to be a good runner as well. But right now, yeah, it's been chilling, trying to be
Yeah,
available for them as much as possible.
yeah. But it's a football thing.
Yeah,
Have you seen when Warren Weir's been on here?
yeah. Man's jokes. Yo, sometimes
Diehard
he,
Chelsea fan, I
yo,
hate talking to Chelsea fans, they love throwing that Champions League in your face from
yeah.
12
I
years
mean,
ago.
yeah,
Was it 12
he
years
was,
ago?
no, it wasn't that long ago. You're being mad disrespectful. It was
How long? It was 10
2021.
years ago.
Nah, it was like 3 years ago, 4 years
Okay,
ago.
yeah, it was. No, it's oh yeah.
3 years.
It was
4
4 years
years
ago.
ago. Yeah, it
4 years
was
ago.
it wasn't that long ago. No, but yo, sometimes
I
he
was
gets on the
talking about when
show.
they were in like premiership contention, but go on.
Sometimes he comes on the show and it's like, yo, someone vexed him just before he got on show. Like someone stepped on his shoe or something. He comes on the show vexed. But nah, yeah, I enjoy when he's on there when you guys talk, you talk your sprints. And I like his perspective too, because he's no nonsense. You're either good or you're not. You're either ready to run or you're not. I understand it.
Man loves talking about Chelsea though. All right, yo, big up the One Name Better Games.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate
Respect,
it.
yo. We catch up, yo.
Yeah, bless.
Cool. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, a lot of good insight there, man. We're gonna definitely have Vader back on as a consultant as far as all this shoe stuff that's happening and contract stuff and what to expect and people switching brands and why things may happen. And I mean, the whole shoe aspect in track and field is a big thing. It's a huge theme. And when new people coming into the sport, I don't think they really understand or know that before they come in. They usually probably think that track and field athletes get paid salaries like any other sport. And it's definitely not like that. The shoe companies and the shoe aspect of track and field is what it's based around, really. Track and field is based around shoe companies, shoe contracts. Shoes dictate athletes' careers, which in itself is a big reason why track and field should be at the forefront of the shoe game when it comes to selling and when it comes to affiliating a sport with shoes. Because I don't think there's any other sport that shoes have such a big impact on. That in itself is a major reason why track and field should be at the forefront of track and field, or at the forefront of shoe marketing and at the forefront of the shoe game. Okay. This is a good show. For those who came in late, this will be on YouTube for you to view later. A lot of information on shoes, shoe contracts, athletes, that would be prospects as far as shoe companies are concerned, and how these athletes can lose their shoe contracts. Yo, another thing I was thinking about as I was talking, and I'll say this here, and this is a really good idea, so I can see it being utilized if track and field is actually seen as a way to market shoes better, and they actually go down this road, which they should. The whole, that when what we call the actual running shoes, we call them flats. Like that's a part of the lingo within the track and field world. I think that actually separates track and field when it comes to running shoes or trainers from anywhere else. Like we have actual names for what we call those shoes, our flats. The way the lingo comes into it is, I think that's actually a cool aspect of it. So having those shoes referred to as flats, and that being part of the running shoe culture, that anybody with visioning marketing wise at these shoe companies is gonna use to help it grow. I think that's a big thing. Flats. The term flats. Okay. I see a lot of talking here about the enhanced game stuff. That's another conversation we'll revisit down the line. If you aren't following the Track and Field Network on Instagram, go ahead and do that, as well as on YouTube, as we started picking up some traction on there with some shorts. Got a lot of mini docs coming out on the Track and Field Network on YouTube. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are on. And also Unconventional Productions right here on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. And just chop it up in the comments. I love the dialogue and the conversations. And to be honest, I learn a lot of things. I'm obviously knowledgeable in the sport, but I know that I don't know everything. And sometimes people in the comments can even change my perspective on things, which is always good. So continue to do that and continue to promote that and continue to share the content, continue to be a part of the movement. Track and Field Network is growing every day. And sprint culture is growing every day. Next time I come on, I'm not sure which guests I'll have, but I'll let y'all know leading in. And just keep the notifications on because you never really know when I'm going to pop on and who I might bring on. That's just the way this is. That's the way sprint culture moves. And I'm sure that's what y'all love about it, right? Cool. All right, big up the sprint culture vultures. And yeah, I'm gonna figure out what I was doing wrong with the videos I was playing back because I wanted to go through that way off. But yeah, man, track and field is simple, yo. It should be a way of life. You don't have to be violent. You don't got to kill nobody. You don't got to beat nobody up. When it's all said and done,
let's meet me on the track and see if you can beat me.
Simple thing, yo. Sprint culture out, yo. I'm gonna catch up with y'all. Peace.
We talking sprint culture, we talking track and field. When the gunshot lick it, give a man the chills. We talking speed demons like Usain. The red track where a legend really makes their name. The US and Jamaica, they run the sprinting game. There's nothing like the Olympics for your claim to fame. When you break the world record, you show you ain't the same. From the men to the women, times are insane. Yeah, we talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture. We talking sprint culture.